My father didn't ask me to leave the house because he hated me. That would have been easier to understand. Instead, he said it in the same practical voice he used when asking someone to move a chair. Vacate the room. Your brother and his wife need it. I stood in the doorway with a basket of folded laundry in my hands. My brother's wife was sitting on the edge of my bed, one hand resting over her stomach. She smiled. It would be better if you left the house altogether, she added. We'll need the space once the baby comes. Nobody laughed. Nobody apologized either. I looked at my father. He didn't meet my eyes, so I put the laundry down, went upstairs, and started packing. I had lived in that room for 6 years. I had also spent 6 years quietly helping keep the household running. I paid part of the electricity bill. I handled my father's insurance paperwork. I kept copies of property documents because he always lost the originals. When my brother needed something filed, he called me. Nobody called it contribution, it was simply what I did. Apparently, that had an expiration date. I packed 2 suitcases and left that evening. My father didn't stop me. My brother didn't call. His wife stood by the staircase watching me carry the last box outside. I wanted to say something. Instead, I remembered my father's words, vacate the room, so I did. 2 days later, my phone rang. It was my brother's wife. Her voice sounded completely different. Did you send it? I frowned. Send what? The document. The property submission. You told us it was ready. It was ready. There was a long silence, then she whispered, please tell me you didn't send it. I sat down. No, I didn't. Her breathing became uneven. But why? I almost laughed. Not because anything was funny, because I suddenly understood. The document had been waiting for my father's final approval. I had prepared everything as usual, and intended to submit it once he signed. But I had left before he did, and after being told I was no longer welcome in the house, I had stopped handling their affairs. She sounded frightened now. There's a deadline tomorrow. I know. Can you fix it? I looked around the small room I had rented after leaving home. There were still unpacked boxes on the floor. For years I had believed being useful was the closest thing I had to belonging. Now, for the first time, someone needed something from me and I didn't feel grateful for it. I can tell you what needs to be done, I said. You can? Yes, but I won't do it for you. She was silent, then she asked quietly, are you angry? I thought about the room, the laundry basket, my father's lowered eyes, the casual way she had told me to leave. Yes, I said, but that's not why I'm stepping back. Then why? Because you asked me to leave. She didn't answer. The next morning, my father called, not to order me home, not to ask why I had abandoned them. He simply said, tell me what I need to sign. I gave him the instructions, nothing more. The paperwork was completed before the deadline. Nobody celebrated. There was no apology that repaired 6 years in one sentence. A week later, I went back for the last box from my old room. The room had already changed. The furniture was gone. A small crib stood beside the window. I expected to feel replaced. Instead, I felt strangely calm. My father appeared in the hallway. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he said, you could have fought us. I know. Why didn't you? I looked at the room. Because I was tired of fighting for a place where I was only wanted when I was useful. He looked down. I picked up my box. As I walked out, nobody told me to stay. Nobody told me to leave either. And somehow, that was the first time the decision actually belonged to me.